It's Tuesday, February 2nd. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight we talk a bit about the NerdNYC Recess.
Let's do this.
So I got this brand new computer. I can play pretty much any game I would ever have wanted to play just perfectly.
Really? I have a computer that's like a year old or maybe,
and
it can also play any game I've ever wanted to play.
Yeah, shittily. You get like 20 frames a second in Bioshock. I watched you.
Not really.
Yeah.
It was just fine.
It was unplayable on your PC. I tried it.
Yeah, you're just crazy.
Anyway, I've got this awesome PC. It's all set. What have I been playing for the last, 3 days?
Pac-Man.
Counter-Strike.
It might as well be Pac-Man.
Well, it is Counter-Strike Source, to be fair.
So it's Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man.
The thing is, I'm kind of happy that I'm doing really well at Counter-Strike, like more so than I used to in the past.
Counter-Strike Source, in my experience, is much harder than regular Counter-Strike.
But I'm doing better than I used to do in these games. I don't know if it's the mouse.
It's the mouse.
Or just the fact that I have a ping like I used to have at RIT again.
That's the mouse and the ping.
I think it's the mouse and the ping.
Yep.
Because I went back, at RIT it was like, what's my ping? I don't know, 6, maybe 7. If it's around 11, I quit because fuck that.
Yep. That's why my skills at FPS is greatly decreased when I left RIT because my ping greatly increased.
Also, we don't play every single day like we used to.
Yeah, multiple hours every single day.
Oh my god, I remember I'd come home from from class. You'd be at home playing Tribes. I'd just join the game. Like an hour later, you'd leave and go to class. I'd stay, I'd keep playing. You'd come home, I'd just keep playing. Then I'd go to class. I'd come back, you're still playing.
Yep.
Stopped every now and then to eat, but
I eat it while playing.
Yeah, usually I'd make that kitsune ramen, and then I'd eat it in my lap, but I'd always...
I need some ramen. You got any?
I got a ton.
I gotta take some.
But I'd get it all over my keyboard because I'd be hungry, so I'd eat it too fast.
Just this weekend, I dishwashed my keyboard.
Yeah, I can't really do that with my DOS keyboard.
It worked real nice. It's super clean. I got to do my one for home. I did the work one.
I kind of want to take another DOS keyboard to work, but I think my coworkers would kill me.
Why?
Click, 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 click.
Just get the happy hacking keyboard.
I'm thinking about it. We'll see.
I have. It's good for Vim because the escape key is so close. But there's no numpads. You got to get a numpad.
Yeah, you can get one of those external numpads.
I got external numpads.
Or the company that makes my awesome mouse, they also make dedicated gaming hand pads. That
I don't like those
Plus.
things that are shaped like a hand.
I don't know if they're actually shaped like a hand. They're just they've got buttons all over them. They're like a button pad.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I figure hold out a year and then I'll get an OLED one and I'll be all set forever.
Basically, I'm not a fan of it. I sort of changed my philosophy. I'm not a fan of anything that's weird and custom because then when you're in a situation where you don't have it, what are you going to do, right? So if you get used to playing PC games with your weird hand thing and then you go to some tournament somewhere and sure enough, they don't have the weird hand thing. What are you going to do with your regular keyboard?
The mouse I have at least gets around that. The mouse holds all the configs in it.
Yep.
So no matter where I go, no matter what computer.
That's why I like that mouse.
It's so great. It took me a long time to configure it and tweak it, and I'm still tweaking it. I have a profile for every individual game, and it's cool. They have all these rules all right, in every game, set the mouse sensitivity to 0, unmodified, and then make all adjustments in this program. Set the Windows sensitivity to this, because this means 0. So it's all 100% in the mouse. Of course, that leads to some weird problems because Bioshock, the mouse, because the sensitivity is so low as far as Bioshock sees, basically doesn't work in the menu. But once I start playing, it's perfect. That's because Bioshock's written shittily, I guess.
Yeah, stuff like that is always weird with games, because not every game is programmed the exact same way. Like my Logitech mouse, if you go to Logitech settings, there's a checkbox that says, okay, set some there's a sensitivity bar, and then you can choose, do you want to use this one or the Windows one, right? Or both.
Yep.
And then there's a button that says, okay, when you start a game, what do you want to do? Do you want to use this sensitivity, the game sensitivity, the Windows sensitivity, right? But the detection of when you're running a game is not the greatest. So sometimes it thinks you're playing a game when you're not, and sometimes it thinks you're not playing a game when you are. And sometimes it'll get trapped, it'll know you started playing a game, but it won't know you stopped, and your sensitivity is bleh.
I remember I had a lot of problems. I made a custom thing because no one had a good one to actually change between the sensitivity for a mouse and the sensitivity for a joystick inside of Tribes 2.
Yeah, Tribes 2 could let you, because basically, other games, if you opened up the terminal in the game, the command prompt, like in Quake,
it was like a Quake thing.
It's Quake language, In Tribes, it was basically C++.
Yes. But I couldn't get that to work too well, so I found an external app that was meant for all games, any game that had vehicles and walking. But it would pretty much hose my computer every time I stopped playing Tribes, and I'd have to reboot. It says something about the priorities of my life that back then, that the obvious solution was, well, I'll just reboot every time I finish playing a game.
Good days.
Yeah, of course, those days are back a little bit, because I've been playing games like every day when I get home.
I've been playing Street Fighter 4 a lot. Not every day, though. I haven't played it since last week. But I'm going to play it again probably tomorrow.
What tier are you? Are you top tier yet?
I'm on the lowest possible tier.
Can you tech out of I don't even know.
Well, I know that if someone throws me and I throw them at the same time, then it'll say technical and make a little blue swirly.
So what does that mean? What's the gnosis there?
That means that you do the same thing as the other guy at the exact same time and hit him in the exact same spot. Then it basically like cancels. It's like pew, pew. So if a guy's trying to throw you, right, you can't really block because you can throw someone who's blocking. You can jump away from them, right? But then you're jumping away from them, and maybe they'll like shoot a fireball real quick and you'll land on it, and that'll hurt. So if you know he's going to throw, you just push throw at the exact same time because you saw the throw coming a mile away, and it'll make a blue swirly, and then you're right next to him, you didn't get thrown, and then you can make a move.
Huh. Mm-hmm. So you got any gaming news? Because I don't really have any gaming news other than the fact that PAX East is almost sold out. There's only 600 tickets as of like 4 hours before we recorded this.
Anime Boston is the week after PAX East, but we're not talking about it nearly enough.
Nah, we're going to Anime Boston too, but none of you care because this is Tuesday night.
There's going to be gaming in Anime Boston too, so... if you like anime even a little bit, you should hang around in town all week.
Yeah, but me and Scott are going to be around the area. Or if you live
in Boston, even more awesome.
Yeah, Anime Boston is going to be pretty badass. Of course, it sells out almost every year, doesn't it?
I think so.
Pretty sure it does.
It has big lines.
For all I know, it's already sold out.
It deserves its big lines, too. So
it does say one thing about PAX, though, and, they got Reed and everything behind the scenes, but the PAX Hotel... they got much better rates from the local hotels than Anime Boston was able to get.
And they get free internets.
Yeah, that's the PAX policy. If you stay in a PAX hotel, free internet no matter what.
Yep. And if the PAX hotel doesn't do free internet, not a PAX hotel.
Yep.
So yeah, I got a little bit of gaming news. Dominion, very popular game lately.
Yep, of course we had the problem that the game, as fun as it was, with the basic decks at least, boiled down to just make a money machine and then buy like provinces or buy the witch and then make a money machine.
Basically, every time we played Dominion a whole bunch with all sorts of combinations of cards from the regular set and from Intrigue.
And all sorts of different people. It wasn't just like a feedback loop like we've often run into.
Well, not all sorts of different people, but enough different people. And basically what happened is we determined that in order to win, you should only buy like a handful of action cards and get mostly money, and then as soon as you have enough money, buy all the provinces, or buy duchies if you can't get provinces.
Unless the game has too many attack cards, and then you basically had to kind of go in for the long slog and buy duchies.
Yeah.
But it was like obvious
and
strategy.
There were a lot of cards were sort of useless, like, do you really need like the Chancellor or whatever? Maybe, not really, So, whatever. So, there was a Seaside expansion that I knew existed, but we hadn't gotten yet. And I played it recently at a board game night a couple weeks ago. And I played the Seaside expansion, and I'm playing, right? And I'm just like, you know what? I looked around all the 10 cards, because we played with all Seaside cards, right? And I looked at all the cards that were on the table, and I picked one that I thought looked kind of interesting, like the Ghost Ship, which is sort of a nice card. So I'm like, okay, I'll just buy some ghost ships and silver and gold, and I'll be in this business, right? So I bought the cards that sort of had obvious uses, and I started getting lots of money, and I bought a province. And the next turn, I bought another province, and I was like, fuck yes, that's right, these morons. They were buying action cards like nuts, right? And another turn goes by, I didn't get a province. The next turn, I didn't get a province again. The turn after that, this dude bought a province and a duchy on the same turn.
See, I think what happened there is that the game got to the point to where there were enough combos to where if you can play a longer game.
This is only Seaside cards. This doesn't have any Dominion or Intrigue cards, except for coppers and curses and whatever.
But think about it. In the basic game, it comes down to the fact that if you have 8 money, you should buy a province because that's like just the way it works. But you can't really build up enough momentum fast enough to do anything crazier. There's no like late game because someone will end the game right away.
Yeah, so in Seaside, what they added was that some of the cards are orange, and if a card is orange, that means you play it, and then it stays there, and it does something next turn also. So like the Caravan, you play it, and you get +1 card, +1 action. So it's basically, you just play them like crazy because you play one, you draw a card, you play another Caravan, you draw a card, you play all your Caravans that are in your hand. And then the next turn, let's say you played 5 Caravans, the next turn, you start by drawing 5 cards, so your turn begins with you having 10 cards in your hand. All right? And there's a bunch of cards that basically they stick around for one turn and do something on the next turn. One card that I thought was the most interesting was the Treasury. I don't know, I don't have the specific exact wording of it, but basically the way it works is you play it and it gives you some money, right? And then if you don't buy any victory cards, right? At the end of the turn, all the treasuries that you played, they don't go in the discard pile, they go on top of the deck. So basically what happens is if you have like 5 treasuries, they'll be on top of your deck. You draw all 5, and I think they let you draw a card. So then you're drawing 5 more cards, and you basically have this pile of like ones that sits on top of your deck, and you keep redrawing them every single turn because they go right back to the top of the deck every time until you eventually buy a victory card. Then they all get shuffled back in. So it's like you can get 6 treasuries, or you don't even need 6. You just need like 3 treasuries, and then draw 3 gold every turn, and you buy gold, 3 monies, and you buy gold, you buy gold, you buy gold, you buy as many gold as you want, you buy gold every turn, and then eventually when you're satisfied and you have enough gold, let the treasuries get shuffled back in, buy a province, buy a province, buy a province, buy a province, all right?
Well, what's interesting is the game kind of had stages, and each expansion gave us more gameplay. Like the original Dominion was fun, and then, our group solved it. And then there's more stuff, and now we got to do different, now we solved it. And then there's more stuff, now we solved it.
So I want to get the Seaside, because the Seaside makes the action cards just a little bit more powerful so that they're actually more worthwhile than just buying silver and gold. But there's another Dominion expansion that's coming out, this is the news, called Alchemy. I suspect it will involve turning things into other things. So.
I'm excited. Dominion has, every time I've started to peter out and think, I'm kind of done with this game, an expansion fixes every concern I have and makes the game brand new to me all over again.
What's kind of cool is it's like, it's not collectible, but they're still making big money off you because you're buying expansions. But that's okay, because it's not collectible, right? I just buy the expansion and I'm done. And I don't care if there's 100 expansions or not, because it's just,
But think of this, already there are more combinations than any human could ever play if they devoted their entire life from birth to death playing Dominion.
The thing is, most of the combinations are the same. It's, if I play with these 9 cards and I switch one out, if depending on which one I switch out, probably not making a big difference.
Yep, it'll come down to, does this game have the witch or not?
Yep. So, yeah, Dominion Alchemy is coming. Dominion Seaside is good. Get all 4 sets, mix them up, have an awesome time. Awesome.
So I got a couple of quick minor geek bites. There's really nothing in the news that I cared that much about. Though there was that whole, the prison won't let the prisoners play D&D anymore because they think it's gang related.
Whatever.
Yeah.
There probably is like a D&D prison gang or something.
That's kind of awesome. I know. Yeah. I figure
I just let those guys out. I'd be like, you're good.
I figure I should email, or I should just send a regular letter to that prisoner. I mean, I found all the info on him.
Yeah, you can send letters to prisoners.
I should be like, hey, Burning Wheel.
Can you send them books?
If I can, Burning Wheel.
Burning Wheel.
But I've been playing 2 games. I'm not going to talk about Counter-Strike. And I want to kind of get out my first impressions because they're games that I never actually played before, and I probably should have. Of course, Psychonauts. Well, Psychonauts. That's one of those games that no one really knew about except the people who were like hardcore about it.
It's sort of like Earthbound. It's like there's a whole bunch of people who are like, fuck yeah! But if you actually look around, not that many. But it's one of those games where there's like a loud internet voice for it
and other voice. Like one. Like it's a game that I'd always heard of my whole life, but until Yahtzee talked about it, I didn't know anything about it other than there's a game called Psychonauts that some of my friends won't shut the fuck up about.
Yeah, I mean, I played it for a few levels, but that was about it. I was not really excited.
Yep. Well, the thing is, it's one of those games that gets 1,000 points for style, kind of like Brutal Legend.
I don't know. Maybe it gets 500 points for style.
It gets not as many points as Brutal Legend. Brutal Legend has the biggest disparity between style and gameplay.
Substance, yeah.
Oh my god. It pains me that Brutal Legend is not just a movie.
It's completely non-brutal. It should have just been an animated directed-DVD movie.
Oh my god. Or even just a live-action movie with Jack Black in it.
Who knows? Whatever.
Maybe some Harryhausen-esque puppets and claymation.
Sure.
But anyway, I mean, I don't know. The game has just enough dark humor and all that to where I really like the style. And I don't know if it's because I haven't played a 3D platformer in a long time, but it's filling in an itch that I've had for a long time that wasn't scratched.
Yeah, the 3D platform, that's the reason I never finished the game, is because the 3D platformingness of it is not the greatest, in my opinion.
Well,
compared to, say, a Mario 64 or a Mario Galaxy or something like that.
Thus my conundrum. The last 3D platformer I played was Mario 64.
On the DS.
And I played halfway through Sunshine. I just kind of dropped it. I never played Galaxy. I'm kind of behind on 3D platformers. So I have a feeling that everything I'm getting out of Psychonauts, I'll get it 1,000 times more over if I just play like a Nintendo 3D platformer, and then I won't care about the game anymore. So, in the spirit of riding the smaller roller coasters before I ride the bigger ones, I'm going to finish Psychonauts first.
Yeah, when I played Psychonauts, I had already ridden the bigger roller coaster.
Of course, we'll see. A lot of people say that once you get later in the game, there's weird and cool stuff.
Yeah, that's a Gao Gai Gar situation right there that I am not...
We'll see. I'm going to play your game, kids, and I tell you what... If there is nothing surprising in this game, I'm going to be very disappointed with every one of you who's told me.
I don't think anyone's lying. I think there is something later in the game that's different, but at least the first 3 or so levels I played, it was not there. It was later.
Yeah, but the thing is...
People aren't going to say, that... I don't doubt that the later episodes of Gao Gai Gar are as good as people say. I don't think they're lying. I just think that it's... I got better things to do than, go through a whole big show or skip a whole bunch of episodes and be confused.
Well, it's simple. Would Mario 3 be as good of a game if, in order to get to the actual first level of Mario 3, you had to be Hydlide?
No. You see the Angry Video Game Nerd did Hydlide?
Oh my god. I kind of want to play Hydlide again.
I want to basically make Hydlide only not crappy.
Yeah, but Hydlide was, by default, it's crappy.
All you have to do to make Hydlide not crappy
is play The Legend of Zelda.
Well, no, you just make Hydlide slower and actually make the sword come out, just like Zelda, but keep that same map and stuff.
So just make a Zelda C that has that map.
Exactly. But I like the way the Hydlide looks with the screens, and the...
I think you forget
the nice little mazes.
What it's like to actually play on that map.
Well, it's because the controls are all fucked up. You move around way too fast, and you can't tell when you're attacking and defending. If you just fix the controls and
it says attack or defend.
No, it actually has to be press once to attack once, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you change that part, it would probably be all right.
But I feel like I'm going to play Psychonauts now before I play other games that remind me why it's not the best game in the world, but I start to understand why people were so obsessed with it. For when it came out, the camera was amazing compared to similar games.
Oh, that is true.
The camera is great compared to any other game I can think of from any part of that era.
Mm-hmm. Also, remember though, you're playing on Steam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people played this thing on PS2 and such, so it's a different experience.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I got my Xbox controller on my widescreen HD. Yeah, I got it right here.
All right.
In fact, I'm hooking up my computer to my TV because it's on the other side of the room in the living room, and then I'm going to use the wireless controller, and I'm going to play all these games on the TV. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about this.
All right.
It's got to run an HDMI cable right through that wall. We'll see how that goes.
Good luck with that.
The other thing I'm playing is all those old Total War games that my computer couldn't handle before because my video card...
I'm not a fan of those.
I'm a fan so far, but I feel like everything that feels like it's strategic is actually just letting me win.
Yeah, I mean, I played the demo of the first one ever when it was new, right? And basically the demo has you do the combat where you're controlling these big armies and formations. You got archers and pikemen and all sorts of stuff, right?
Yep.
But then, right, I actually watched someone play for reals.
They just grab all the troops and send them straight in.
Yeah, and basically they never actually went into the combat. They just play the game on the map. and they just let the combat be like auto because that doesn't matter.
It gives me that option, but I don't know. That the whole point of the game is to learn like formations and
right, but that part doesn't matter because you just win if your army is the right size. You just play the map game.
Yeah, so I'm playing that's
the reason that I was like, well, fuck that.
I'm playing just the actual combat-y part, and I'm playing through all the historical things. And the history is okay, and I feel like you can learn some stuff, but so far, you learn more from reading the Wikipedia article on infantry tactics than you do playing this game.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm gonna give it more of a go, but the game is just not nearly as interesting or strategic or tactical or anything as a lot of people have made it out to be.
Well, because people can't tell when, you just put up it's like security. You just put up the illusion of security and people believe that they're secure. Where, regardless of whether whatever that is makes them more secure or not. It's the same with strategy. You just put something up that looks strategic and people believe you've made it more strategic whether you have or you haven't.
Yep, like I tried this one scenario a bunch of times and I realized there's guys on the walls, so I sent archers in to basically pepper the walls where these other archers are to keep them away while my battering rams and ladders go up. And I tried with and without the archers over and over again. And I'm pretty sure that the archers had zero effect at all because it just made more goons that got killed on the top. Yeah. And it's kind of just a glorified, hard-to-control tower defense game. Mm-hmm. Or tower offense, but not impressed so far. Give me another month and I'll say I'm not impressed again. But anyway, things of the day. What do you got for me?
I got another funny webcomic I found called Scott Meets Family Circus. No relation to me. This guy's name is Scott Gardner. And basically what he does is he has a little Tumblr blog and he makes a little comic. And on the left side of the comic, he puts up an actual Family Circus comic, which I'm sure is probably illegal, but he's parodying. But he's also reproducing. He's putting up the original and his parody together as opposed to just the parody. So I don't know if this falls into like a Garfield minus Garfield situation or not. But anyway, on the right side, he puts a parody of that exact same comic. So it's a pretty funny take on the Family Circus, and I laughed at it, and Rim also lolled. So
it's pretty good.
Check it out.
It's no John, but it's good. So my thing of the day is not gaming related, but it's just too cool to not talk about it now.
My thing of the day wasn't gaming related. You ever heard of Family Circus video game?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I always think back to that Perry Bible Fellowship parody of Family Circus.
Oh, it's the best.
But Bill Watterson, the reclusive author of Calvin and Hobbes, which to this day is regarded by most people as one of the greatest, if not the greatest newspaper strip in the history of newspaper strips. There's an interview with him online, which might not seem that crazy until you realize that there really aren't interviews with him.
Ever?
Anywhere. And the thing is, it's not like he's a hermit necessarily. He's just
a normal guy.
His neighbors all respect his anonymity, and he just lives in his town, and if reporters ask about him, they just say, yeah, I'm not going to tell you. So people...
It's basically, he's not like Steve Ditko, who won't appear. This guy goes to the grocery store and shit. He just doesn't want to talk to anybody. And he doesn't want to be bothered by fans. He just wants to be able to live a normal life without, a Hollywood situation or salesmen or business people constantly bother. He just wants to be able to live a normal life.
But what's really cool is that by and large...
He's not like a loner who hides away and doesn't talk to anybody,
He's such a respected individual that the press and almost everyone involved has respected his desire to remain mostly private and alone.
They haven't respected it. People are trying to find him, they just can't.
I'm pretty sure if you really wanted to, you could have gotten him.
No, but the problem is if you try to go after him the wrong way, you just won't get anywhere. He just won't talk to you, and it's like, well, what did you get? You got a picture of him walking down the street. Big deal.
Yeah, but you didn't get any videos of people chasing him. I'm sure if people tried, there were videos of chasing.
I don't think that's gonna happen because then if you try to do that, you could go to jail.
No, it's okay. It's fine to chase people with a microphone as long as you're not threatening them with the microphone, waving it over your head.
Somehow, I think that the local police in that area would have a disagreement, regardless of what the law
may
say.
Maybe they just murdered anyone who went anywhere near him and buried the bodies.
Yeah, right next to Calvin's teacher.
This article, it's really cool to finally hear some of his thoughts on why Calvin and Hobbes was popular and what he was thinking. And it's about what you would expect. But I'll note the picture of him in the article is a semi-stock photo from 1986. They didn't take a picture of him.
He emailed him. He didn't even go see him.
Yeah.
So how's he going to get a picture?
I don't know. Telephoto lens, camp out, Google Maps.
The thing that the only more recent thing, I guess the second most recent thing I've seen in terms of trying to find him was a guy who like ended up in like a diner in his town, and he was pretty sure that he saw him in the back room at a table talking to someone, like in the the dining room, but he couldn't confirm or deny whether it was him or not, and the people in the restaurant wouldn't help him out at all. So that was sort of like as far as he got.
Yep, I just thought it was cool.
Yep.
So, Meta Minute!
The oft-forgotten Meta Minute.
Metamucil.
No. Okay, so what meta things do we
You're
have?
the one who reminded me to do it, and you got nothing to say? What's all this? What the fuck, Scott?
Well, this PAX East.
Yep, PAX East is probably already sold out, but if you want to go to PAX, you didn't pre-register, and you're not going to pre-register right now, you're done.
And there's Anime Boston.
Anime Boston might already be sold out. I don't know. You should go pre-register for that, too. It's right after PAX.
There is
the
MoCA Arts Festival the weekend after that.
Right after Anime Boston.
Yep. Do you want to talk about the one that's the week after that?
Nexus? Some atheist thing? It's a ways off.
It's some skeptic thing. I don't think it's an atheist thing.
Well, I think the two are hand in hand.
No, not necessarily. There are a lot of people who believe in the Jeebus, but also don't like fake medicine.
Yeah, but then they're not skeptical enough.
There is I'm gonna update the website
reaching
soon with some stuff, and Rim is still not doing any e-commerce.
Yeah, I'm having enough trouble with these new microphones and the new computer.
You could have done the e-commerce first.
Yeah, I could have, but the old computer, as I learned when I tried to boot it to put up a show we recorded and it didn't boot, I changed computers at about the right time.
Sure. Okay, that's good enough. It's only supposed to be a moment. It's not supposed to be the meta hour. So.
Yep. Nothing else? And then that was a little bit for someone who was so prepared to do the meta minute.
I just want to start remembering to do it every time. The book club selection is still
Douglas
Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and you should read that first book only. And the next Thursday show, that's what it's going to be.
Well, you're allowed to read the rest of them, but we're not going to talk about them.
Yeah, and if Rim doesn't read it by the next Thursday show, we're going to do it anyway, and it's going to be LOL's. It'll be LOL's Rim Sucks.
I'll do it from my memory of like 12 years ago.
Yeah, you should read it. It only took me one night or two.
It's not a long book.
No.
And, you guys should read.
Read.
Yeah.
Book.
I get the impression people don't read many of the books we're doing, and I'm pretty sure most of the people who are looking forward...
The point of doing the book club is to make people read.
I'm pretty sure almost all of you who are looking forward to the next Geeknights Book Club show on the Hitchhiker's Guide are only looking forward to it because you already read the book a long time ago.
Yeah. Read it again.
Yes. However...
Or for the first time.
Over the weekend, we went to the NerdNYC Recess in Brooklyn.
Yeah, there's a group in New York City, if you live in New York City, called NerdNYC. And they have all sorts of gaming meetups, and they do a board game night at a coffee place once a month that I've been going to like 2 months in a row so far. They got some sort of Gotham Gaming Guild RPG meetup kind of thing. And basically all this stuff is just organized. They have a PHBBB, and all the stuff is organized there. So if you're looking for RPGs, LARPs, board games, any kind of thing in New York City, they got it. So they have this recess event that I think is somewhat, once or maybe twice a year-ish. And it's not quite a gaming con.
However, it is bigger.
But it's not exactly a board gaming night either.
I'll put it this way. It is not a gaming con, but it is bigger than several gaming cons I have been to.
Yeah, there were like 100-something people there, and it's 2 full days of gaming from like 11 in the morning to 11 at night-ish.
Yep, I only went for one day, and Scott went for both
2 days.
But in general, if you guys, you always want us to do the Geeknights Con, and we're getting there. We got a lot of other stuff.
It's probably going to be pretty similar to that. Basically, a room full of tables, hang out for a day, play games.
Yep. But if you want that desperately and you're not willing to wait for us to get to it, and it's not at the top of my queue by any stretch, if you go to these things, we're there. You can just pretend it's a Geeknights event, even though it's not.
Yeah, there was a listener there who said hi to us.
Yeah, there were a couple listeners I ran into,
and I'm also,
actually.
I'm starting to, I've been going to these things, so I sort of, I'm becoming some friendly with some of the repeat attendees. I can recognize them. They recognize me. I know a few of their names. I know who likes what games. You know, there's some guys where it's like we know, we're the Suro guys. We always play the Suro. we got things going on. So it's a good group of peoples there.
Yep, I mean, the only big thing I did was play a Paranoia game. This is the third Paranoia game I've played in my entire life.
Oh, man.
As much as I love Paranoia, I'm not one to put forth the effort to run it because I have other things I want to run.
Yeah.
And not that many people run it, let alone well. So, I mean, we had that LARP at RIT that we were both in, like the tabletop Paranoia LARP. And I played it once halfway.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a LARP. It's sort of a half LARP. It's a LARP.
Well, I usually call that a tabletop LARP, where you're LARPing and that you're all first person.
LARP, yeah.
And the rules are fast and loose, but you're still all sitting around a table. It's just like instead of dice.
But there are some physical elements involved, like props. It's basically a tabletop RPG with props.
Yep, but also drop some of the dice. And oftentimes people, like in Paranoia, like Zap, they'll use the mechanic of, if you want to shoot someone, you yell
You point a gun at them and you go, your finger guns, and you go zap.
Yep, and then everyone goes zap all at once, and if you don't immediately zap at someone, you didn't shoot. And
Finger
whoever
bang.
whoever has the most finger bangs pointed at them dies. I like that mechanic a lot.
It's a little bit of mafia mechanics there.
It is.
Werewolf for those of you who are heathens.
The guy who ran the game was pretty awesome, and he ran just as well as Luke, only without the tabletop LARP element.
Luke Morgan.
Yes, and the cool part is I ran it, I played in it, and Emily played in it with me. And she had never played Paranoia before.
Did you have the soda?
No, we didn't do the soda.
Then what the hell?
She didn't know anything about Paranoia other than it's kind of Logan's Runny and weird and really
She didn't know
weird.
about the computer or the colors?
Nothing.
She didn't know about the computer and the colors and being a happy communist or anything?
She pretty much knew all the stuff, from us talking about the game, but she never read the books or played it or anything. So we started as blue. We played as like high ups.
Shit. I've
Yeah.
never played anything but red.
It was great. I got to tell you, I was like,
Yeah, you could do fucking crazy shit
oh
when
my
you're
God.
blue.
We went into the fucking
You
R&D.
can requisition equipment.
We went into R&D and I was like, I want exploding everything. And they're like, here you go. And here's a nuke.
Yeah.
That nuke, we had a total party kill. In fact, we had 2 total party kills because not only did the whole party die, but because then the nuke went off, the computer NPC party that was sent to kill all of us was also killed.
Nice.
But she had no idea what was going on, and we're blue. So, I bust into the R&D department with all these reds and yellows, and I'm like, give me all your fucking shit. And then I killed them all because they were clearly communists.
Of course.
It was great. I love Paranoia so much.
Let's see. What game did I play Saturday? I'm trying to even remember.
Well, we played a little bit.
We played Dune. That was it. We came in. We played Dune, the board game.
Yeah, we played first.
Which you've done a whole show on. So should we really discuss it again?
Well, I got there before Scott got there. So me, Alex, Jess, and Emily are all there, and I had Via Pleti, so we just played it with some guys.
All right, the Via Pleti.
And then those 2 guys, we're talking to them like, "Hey, you want to play Dune?" And they're like, what's Dune? And we did the thing we always do. Well, Dune is an asymmetric, all the stuff that makes you go, holy shit, I want to play that game. Mm-hmm. So we all sat down and we played a full-on game of Dune all the way to the end. I don't think we've only done that, I think, once before.
Yeah.
We always kind of stop halfway through. Or we don't have a full loadout or whatever.
I'm trying to remember what I was playing while you were playing Paranoia, because I was at the next table. Oh, right. I was running my T&E. I ran T&E. That's what I was doing.
Didn't you also run Doom?
No. They accidentally put my name on that, but no. But yeah, no, I ran a T&E. I taught some people to play T&E. There was one guy who was German. He already sort of knew how to play, so he sort of crushed it. One guy was cool, but he didn't really...
He did not grok the fullness?
No, he grokked. He grokked more than that guy at Anime Boston, but,
oh, that guy.
He didn't catch on until, sort of halfway through. The other guy sort of knew what was up, but he was, he definitely had the potential, but it was his first time playing, so you couldn't beat the, And then there was the second guy's girlfriend who was sort of like, well, she just sort of, she was like, I think she liked the game, but she just sort of got tired of not being able to make progress or figuring out how to make progress and getting crushed by the guy who was good. So she was just sort of like, whatever, let's just get this over with.
Yeah. One thing I can say about our Dune game, though, was that, normally you play at a con like this, and if your game goes long and people have like another game they should be playing, you can tell a lot of games you'll see people sitting around, they're all antsy, like, I just want this to end, I want to go do something else, this was not what I was bargaining for, this wasn't as good as I thought, whatever.
That is the problem, is that I think a lot of gaming cons, right, they do this game registration thing, which is where you gotta, at a certain time, they open the registration, and you gotta sign up and say what game you're gonna play, and then you have to start playing that game at that time. and then you're in that game until it ends. You've committed to it. And, this is sort of a traditional gaming con thing. All gaming cons are like this, but I think you just shouldn't do it at all. Just have open gaming, period. Don't have any, if someone might want to schedule a game, like say, I'm running this at X o'clock, right? But don't do registration, just...
So how do you deal with the fact that, all right, I'm running Paranoia? I mean, you saw it, like 100, everyone lined up way before the afternoon signups. The Paranoia game was full at me.
Yep.
And everyone behind me was like, damn it, I wanted to play Paranoia. So what do you do when I schedule my Paranoia game and there are 60 people standing there who want to play?
I think that what you do is you just have table and first to sit down.
So the fat guy sits down at noon and
Sure.
just waits all day.
Or, better yet, right? The guy running the game just chooses who he wants to be in the game. Because I think a lot of the times what happens, especially with an RPG, right, with the signups, is that the person who signs up is the person who's, the crazy guy who's going to wait in the front of the line, who is not necessarily going to be the best at the game or have the best resulting game experience in the RPG. So you don't really want that guy in your RPG. He's going to make it less fun. You want to pick who's going to make it the most fun. So just pick. Just be a jerk.
I think you should have both. I think open gaming and sign-up gaming have places. Especially, remember, these aren't, sit down, play a German board game for a couple hours. These are 4 to 6 hours of, like, I am dedicated to this, and the game only has a certain number of slots and all that.
Yeah, but that's the other thing is sometimes, like Alex and Jess, they signed up for something...
basically, I kept looking over at their table, and we're playing Paranoia. Like, one dude on the party is turning into a werewolf. So he starts to, like, howl because he can't hold it in. And to cover up for that, in character, he starts singing the Bouncy Bubble fountain food beverage theme song from the commercials in the game. Mm-hmm. And we all start singing, and everyone at that table kind of looks over at us like, I want to be over there.
Yeah, I think Alex said that basically he was playing Spirit of the Century, which is a game that has a lot of hype, and I'm pretty, but apparently someone was the game, like the default theme in the game is like 20s Indiana Jones pulp adventure.
Which I'm totally all about.
But it seemed like Alex, they were using the system to play a D&D dungeon with, kill the rats.
That's like the opposite of the point of our Beyond D&D panel.
So Alex was, he was basically like, he couldn't really tell if the system was actually good or not. And I don't know about that system because it gets a lot of hype, but the book is very large and whatever. But, he had not a good time in that particular instance of the game because it was just a dungeon.
Here's the trouble. And you have the same thing at like AnimeCon. So you've got a panel, right? Say you walk into the panel expecting whatever, and it's totally lame. And you're like one of 4 people sitting in the room. Do you just get up and walk the fuck out?
Yes.
What if you're the only guy in the room?
Yes, definitely.
So at gaming cons, though, it's much harder to do that because, one, it's like if you walk out of a panel, you're not hurting the panel. You might hurt the panel's feelings, but you're not hurting the panel. If you walk out of a game that only had 6 slots, you are hurting the game and everyone playing in it and the feelings of the guy running it. It's like a twofer.
Yeah.
And you committed to 6 hours of that game. What are you going to do now? All the other games are full. You can go to open gaming, but now, you're not having the same experience. What are all the people who are going to play in that game going to do? Mm-hmm. I don't know how to get around that, except maybe every game should have a 15-minute, let's start and play. And then after those 15 minutes, every game in the entire con stops, has a 10-minute break, and you're allowed to not come back.
I think one good way to do it is a possible solution, you're right? The thing is that, it takes preparation and efforts to run an RPG, right? And the thing is, most people want to play in like these particular awesome RPGs. But there's only a few people will run them, and those people will only run like one, and that's it. They won't run it like 3 or 4 times, right? Like we will, because we're nuts. What you should do is you should just have an RPG con, and you say everyone who's coming to this con must bring prepared RPG, right? And basically what you do is you get a group of people, and one of you starts running your game, and at any time, so
who's going to play in your game if everyone's running games?
You don't run them all at the same time. Uh-huh. You take turns running games, and you keep shuffling and mixing it. If someone's game sucks, because, people's games will suck. In fact, most of them will. Everyone, most people don't have the GM skills. They know they don't have the GM skills, but they come prepared with a game anyway. Maybe they come prepared with, like, Call Ate My Baby at least, right? And, you know, you can just stop playing a game and start one at any time, because as long as you can just get people together, someone's got a game. Maybe someone who had a fun game will run their game twice. You know, if they start with one group and then maybe they'll get, you know, shift to other people. And so that way, you know, basically people are constantly starting, playing, or stopping playing RPGs the whole time. And everyone's got something prepared so that, you know, no matter... You know, you won't get in a situation where it's like, well, there's 5 people free, but none of us are GMs. You know, everyone's got prepared to GM something.
Well, if you want to fit it in more with the way these cons already work, I think a compromise. Take the idea of, you know, the games all have like a 20-minute introductory period where like everyone sits at the table and, you know, goes over all the stuff they're going to do. And then you have the break. And at the break, anyone who wants to leave a game goes over to the games that they want to join. And then if you don't want to leave your game, then you just come back to the game that you want to stay in. And then if you go to a game and there's an open slot, you get in. If you go to a game and it's full or whatever, then you keep reshuffling. You know, you have this whole like 20-minute period where eventually everyone's in a game they want to be in, or they've bailed completely on the games that sucked.
Yeah, I think that's another thing. It's like I was playing T&E, right? I was teaching and then running it for people. Like I didn't even play. I just taught it and then sort of watched and helped. And there are people who were just looking for games to play, but my game was full because it only had 4 seats. And I was like, listen, just sit and learn how to play. You don't need to, right? You know, even though you can't play, they're like, no, they didn't want to, right? Like, if I couldn't get into an RPG, I'd be happy like to sit there, but it's like, nope, there's X slots and that's it. Go, you know, so... I don't know. I
don't know. It might be a difference in culture. I mean, we spend most of our gamer time at either AnimeCon gaming or like GeneriCon, you know, like DragonCon, Kineticon style gaming, where it's kind of geeks all playing games as opposed to gamer-only people playing games. The crowd at the Recess was definitely the Gen Con crowd and not the DragonCon or Kineticon or PAX or any of that crowd.
I don't know. I have a feeling DragonCon is also sort of the Gen Con crowd.
I think so, but not as much.
Not as much. A little bit different because DragonCon has all these sort of different tracks.
I think
like,
DragonCon
has technology. It's got skepticism. It's got all sorts of shit.
I would guess, based on what my friends who go to DragonCon say, that half the gamers there are PAXy kind of gamers, and half the gamers there are Gen Con kind of gamers.
Yeah. Anyway, so is that all you did Saturday? Was you played the Paranoia and that was it?
Pretty much Paranoia and Dune and hanging out.
All right.
Sadly, you know, Saturday night, we all, you know, our games all ended, and we all got together, and they had the cool party at this bar down the street. So we're like, oh yeah, let's all go down, have a drink, say hi to everyone, and then go home. We go down there, and the stupid bar wanted a $5 cover charge.
I'm not paying $5 to walk in, say hi, and leave.
Yeah, especially considering that the bar...
You know what I can get for $5? I can get like 5 candy bars.
Well, sadly, the bar looked like it was general admission, and all the other bars around weren't super crowded. There was no real reason for that cover charge, except for the fact that they were trying to game $5 off of all these gamers who wanted to go hang
apparently
out.
There's no cover charge if we would have gone over earlier when the other people went over.
So the cover charge started right as the event we were all leaving ended?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know who was responsible for setting that up, but not well executed.
Apparently there just weren't that many other places to go. Like, you know, they didn't choose, you know, it was like there was no real choice of place.
Yeah, I would have been happier.
I mean, even on Sunday, right? So on Sunday, I went out just looking for a place to eat, you know, for lunch, and it was surprised how many places were just closed.
Well, that part of Brooklyn is definitely not super happening.
Or sit down. What are you talking about? That is like the happeningest area in Brooklyn. That's where all the shit is.
But right around there, no bars, no restaurants open on Sunday?
The restaurants were open. They were just sit down. I'm talking about walk in, get food, lunch kind of place.
Oh, whatever. I mean, there was that muffin place.
Yeah, that's not really lunch.
Yeah, it is. They had paninis and all sorts of stuff. That place was awesome.
Anyway. So on Sunday, I went back. And in the morning, I signed up to play Starfarers of Catan. Remember we played that?
That's a good game, except that it's kind of broken once you've played it too many times.
Yeah, with the encounters.
Yeah, but if you don't know what the encounters do, it's real fun.
The thing is, we sort of messed up the game. We played it a little bit wrong, you know, in that we deployed the beginning colonies like incorrectly or whatever. But, you know, in remembering how to play, I was like, oh yeah, this game is a good game. And now I kind of want to like, I think that's really, it's, you know, I've sort of wanted to play Settlers, but then I keep remembering that, like, yeah, Settlers is kind of broken and bad. You know, it's like Settlers itself sucks. So I think I want to get back and try to do Starfarers or Cities and Knights and start playing that. Because, you know, to revive the Settlers-ness of it.
One thing that was interesting, I miscalculated in that I hope to recruit a whole bunch more PAX East enforcers at this con or at this event. So, I went around, I was talking to people, and surprisingly, almost everyone I talked to, the conversation was along the lines of, well, what's PAX? What's PAX East? What do you mean like E3? What's E3? Penny Arcade? Like there's a huge.
The thing is, there is. I know that that's not everybody. You didn't get like a good statistical
No, it's
sample.
not like I asked everyone at the con.
Because when I was at the board game night, there was a girl I talked to, and she was there, and she told me that she made like the first Penny Arcade website.
Wow, I would pretty much say that I asked about 10 or 11 people, and 2 of them that I talked to, my small sample size, knew what was up, and the rest of them had never heard any of these things. It was just interesting. It's kind of like you go to an anime con and everyone at least knows what comics are, and you go to like a bigger gaming con and like
we did the trivia. Remember?
Oh
we didn't
yeah,
talk about that at all.
The trivia.
So we do this trivia, right? And so it's just front row crew people on a team, but then we got some other people on our team.
It was great. We named a team that had nothing to do with us.
So then we couldn't think of a team name, so we went with the Azumanga Daioh team name of Sea Cucumber. But then they broke our team up because there were too many big teams. So suddenly we were back to just FRC people again, and some other team was Team Sea Cucumber, right? But then the people that split up from us were no longer on Team Sea Cucumber. So actually some people were on Team Sea Cucumber, and none of them had chosen that name, right? And our team ended up being named Big Fire, but I think next time we have to go with Experts of Justice.
I think Experts of Justice is a more profound and awesome sounding name.
And then there was one guy who we didn't know who was on our team also. Who
However,
actually,
he filled in the
helped
knowledge.
us out a lot because we did not have the knowledge that he had.
Round 1 was Geek, and pretty much every team got all of them right, or almost all of them right.
Yep.
Round 2, we had almost nothing because it went right into Nerd. We were done at that point.
Yeah, basically we're like all the questions were like aimed at not us at all.
Except the whole time we're like, wow, there's like no anime questions here at all. We're pretty much boned unless they ask about like old school gaming or old school like anime.
And then they ask one question about Hokuto no Ken.
And everyone else
our whole table is like, "Wata!" And the whole rest of the room is like, "What the fuck?"
Then it went back to like, what's the name of this? What's the name of this Harry Potter thing? Or what's the name of this thing from the Dark Tower that I've never actually read?
Yeah, there's all these there's questions about like Wheel of Time and stuff. I mean, Alex could cover some of the fantasy, but even he couldn't cover all of it.
Yep, there's the one Silmarillion question, but it was deeper. Like
it was like, what was the name of the dog that they used to find? I'm like, I don't fucking remember. I read that book when I was in high school.
Why can't the answer be a Luvatar?
Yeah, it's like I know you could have asked 100 questions about the Silmarillion that I would have gotten, but they asked like one of the 1,000 questions I would not have gotten.
But at least that's what makes a good trivia is if every question 95% of the answer, but only the true nerds know the extra 5%.
Yeah, it's like one of the they had these asshole questions, and one of them was like, name all the superheroes that were on this cover of this comic. And I was like, it was a Defenders comic, so I'm like trying to guess. And I know some of the Defenders. I got like Doctor Strange, and the thing is, like, I probably could have gotten it with enough time, but it was just like, duh.
Or like they played a sound from a video game, and they're like, they didn't ask, what video game is this? They asked specifically what action is happening right now.
Yeah, and the Dig Dug one, like, they played a sound clip from Dig Dug that didn't sound like Dig Dug. It sounded like, freaking like, space shooting game or something. Yeah, like even Rim didn't know it, and it was Dig Dug.
I know. Of course, honestly, I played Dig Dug more
but if
on
they
the
would have gone
Atari.
if they would have gone then I would have had Dig Dug immediately.
But that's the difference between a geek and a nerd question.
Yep.
On the other one, it was Burger Time, and I was like, it's Burger Time, duh. But I couldn't tell what the action was.
Yeah, it's like, is it when he's Peppers the bad guy?
Well, I thought it was Peppers, but I realized, I think what screwed me up there, I only really played Burger Time on the Intellivision.
Yeah.
Not on the arcade or anything else.
That can totally bite you. But yeah, we sucked ass at the trivia, and if we had like some of our other FRC peoples there, we probably would have done a lot better.
Oh my god, yeah.
If we had like Katsu, Pete, Nuri, cater at him there. They
Yep,
would've-
I mean, we're
Wyatt,
talking-
also Wyatt is the trivia master. He
There
could've
were some
helped us
old
out.
like Warhammer questions.
Yeah, we got they were like, what planet are the Ultramarines from? And like the one guy, no one in the FRC had any clue, right? But the random guy, the strange guy, it was like Lotramar, but no, it was Ultramar. It was like, Pete would have had that in like a second.
Yeah, Pete in fact would have punched all of us for not knowing it.
Yeah, that the Ultramarines are from Ultramar. Yeah, yeah, we feel stupid. But anyway.
It was a good time. It was really well run. The questions were good. I like the whole asshole question thing.
Oops.
Banging into your microphone.
Yeah, my headphones banged into it.
Yeah. I don't know what else you have to say. I just thought it was a super fun time. And
I need to talk about what I did. On the reason I went back on Sunday, the primary reason was that later on Sunday, I basically felt like a complete moron waiting in the front of the registration line, But I did wait in that front of the registration line. I ran out to lunch, came back, and got in the front of the line. Also, everyone liked Oshi, who I played it with. Oshi was pretty popular because people didn't know it, but they loved it when I played it with them. But I signed up and played Free Market for reals with Jared and these 3 other dudes. And I am prepared to spill all sorts of beans about Free Market. Which beans would you like to be spilled?
I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to know about the game.
Well, okay. Basically, the way Free Market goes is it's the new RPG from Luke Cray and Jared Sorensen team up. The pre-orders are going to be in March. There's no dice. And it goes something like this. So you're on the space station, and the space station gives you everything. There's a computer on the space station, but it's not like HAL or the Paranoia computer. It just sort of is it doesn't have any motivation or anything. It just sort of provides everyone with food and the basics, and that's it. So you have to the idea of the game is to get flow. You got to get flow. And the way you get flow is by, doing various things. Like you can friending people, if people become your friends, you get flow. If people give you like smiley faces or, doing various things, you can get flow, right? So you got to get flow. And so you have this character, and your character has experiences, interface, technology, and memories. And these things are what you use to get flow. Right? And memories turn into experience in this whole thing.
All right.
So you basically, all the players join a Merc Z, right? And that is your group, and your group has some sort of objective. So it can just be whatever the hell you want. Like, you can just anything, right? So ours was like fucking teeth. I think we called it like guts and gums, and we're just like, yeah, fucking teeth. That's what we care about. Right?
All right.
And I was like a cyber athlete of sorts, and the other
tooth jouster.
No, it was like we just came up with shit on the fly. So it was called like schnozball or whatever, and I didn't even make up what the sport actually was until I had to play it and But basically, we're playing this game and we're like, okay, how do we start? So he's just like reading various he starts off by telling us what we have in our like little Mercies area, because space is a commodity. Like physical space is like rare, because the space station was designed for 40,000, but there's 80,000 people. So
there's a movie. There were 80,000.
Right. So he's basically telling us like, this is the stuff you have, right? And we're like and one of the things had to do with pets. So suddenly we start the game by going, we got to make a pet. So we try to make this tooth fairy. And the tooth fairy comes out all like nasty and gross, and we're like, okay, well let's make a movie with the tooth fairy that'll be like a wicked YouTube type meme and spread over the whole space station. And somehow we managed to pull it off, where the tooth fairy became wicked popular across the entire station. And suddenly people start calling us up like, we created this meme. People wanted to get like these pliers and pouches to pull their teeth out or whatever.
It all comes back to the Perry Bible Fellowship.
Right. So we're like, oh shit, we got to make these pliers and things. So basically we realized that none of us had the printing experience, which means it sucks. We suck at making things, which is why our tooth fairy came out all nasty. So I called up the guy who makes my sporting equipment, and I'm like, we need you to make this thing for us. He's like, well, what are you going to do for me? So basically, I had to my rival's daughter was a fan of me. So he wanted, but my rival was also a customer of his, and he wanted to make my rival happy. So we took a memory out of me, modified it, and implanted it in my rival's daughter. So now she liked her father and not me. And then I was in the sporting event with her father, and I ripped I basically blew
his teeth out.
I blew his skull in half and blew his teeth all over the crowd as we were giving them all the pliers that they want. So that's the kind of game that comes out of at a free market. But basically, the way the game works is you have these cards, and how the challenges work. Use the cards to resolve the challenges in a really sort of crazy and incredibly difficult to understand way, which is, I think, a negative. But at the same time, he said that they did it that way on purpose. So it was like they made the challenges intentionally complex, but even though the way the challenges worked with these cards and the conflict resolution and how many cards do you draw and what do they do and how do you figure out who wins, like you need like a reference sheet to figure this shit out, like big time. Even though that was really complicated, for some reason the way the game worked, the role playing like came real easy if you couldn't tell,
Huh.
And like, basically everyone gets like one of these sort of like attaboy tokens that's sort of like, if someone else does something awesome, you throw your token at them. And the rule is you only get one token per session to give to someone else. When you give it to someone, they get flow. But one person can only receive one token per session. So if you do 10 awesome things and there's 10 players, you can't get 9 tokens. You can only get 1. And so throughout the game, like everyone threw their token at me at some point, and I was after the first one, I had to say like I already have one like 3 times.
Well, we're kind of used to the whole burning wheel, crazy gaming stuff already. A lot of people aren't.
Yeah, but I'm definitely, I have the PDF of Free Market, and if I could just get the cards, I am totally prepared to run this game. I think it is a game I could definitely run with awesomeness.
I imagine we'll be running a lot of impromptu games at PAX East and Anime Boston when we're just hanging around.
I'm definitely planning to run free markets at PAX East because I know that a lot of people are going to want to play it, and there are not going to be enough people running it. So I will run free markets there once or twice, and I'll definitely run it at Kineticon and such. But yeah, it's free market is what it is, and there's going to be pre-orders in March. And it's going to be like a whole box with cards and a whole thing. So it's going to, make sure you keep an eye out on the websites so that you get a copy when it is available.
All right. On that note, I think we're done.
Yep.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.